and today I'll be sharing with you how I created this card step by step. The technique that I'll be sharing with you today is how I've created these 3D hearts onto metal. You do this by stamping on the underside and hand emboss. Okay, to start with I'm going to be doing the metal piece that I have going diagonally across the card. I have this light pink colour from Add a Little Dazzle, this craft metal. There's other places that do it. There's Spellbinders does a pack of colours, and I don't know if Tim Holtz does craft metal in this colour, but he does do craft metal, and all craft metal will work with this technique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over because I want the pink showing, so I'm going to be stamping on this side. I'm using this set from Winnie & Walter, and this is My Precious, and I'm going to be using this heart shaped gem here. As I'm stamping on metal, I'm going to be using some Stays On ink. I'm also going to be heat setting it so it's easier and quicker to work with. It does take a while to dry on the metal, so if you wanted to stamp, leave it and then come back to it, you could do that without having to heat set, because the metal does get quite warm when you heat set it with a heat tool. So I've just got my stamp, and I'm just going to stamp randomly onto this piece of craft metal. So I'm just stamping. Doesn't matter if the images are a bit blurred, because we're stamping on the back side of what we are using today. So I'm just stamping these on. Once it's heat set, I'm going to do the embossing. I'm going to take a foam mat. This in fact is a mouse mat, and I've just flipped it over, and I also use it for my paper piercing. That's why it's pretty holy, but we're alright, we can work with this. I have a tool, I think it's called a deerfoot tool, which applies to this end, but I'll be using this pointy embossing end. It's a plastic tool, but you could use other things like a like not a cocktail stick, but a kebab stick, a wooden one, or an embossing tool, a metal one. I would press quite softly with a metal craft tool because you don't want to go through this metal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is firstly I'm going to outline this shape, the outside edge of the stamped image that we've just done, and I'm pushing quite gently, but I am doing it so it's embossed from the other side. And then I'm going to go for the middle piece. Now these images, as mostly it's just simple lines, it's quite easy to hand emboss. All you're doing is tracing the image that you have stamped. So just keep going across the lines, pressing quite firmly, but not too firm that you go through the metal. And I'll just do that side, and as you can see we have an embossed image on the other side of the metal. I'm just going to go through and emboss all of these images now. So I've gone through and I've done the embossing on all of my images, and as you can see it's embossed on the other side. I want to pop this heart out in the centre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it back over again, and I've got a paper stump. This is a really soft tool, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to just, in circle motions, I'm going to just push out that centre heart on the images, and as you can see it's just popped it out so it looks more 3D. Getting a really 3D effect with all the embossing from the underside of the metal. If you want more of an embossed look for the centre heart, just press a little harder, because this tool is very, very forgiving on the metal. So just keep going until you've done all of the hearts. Sorry if the camera's moving around a bit. go. And as you can see, I've got a really 3D effect on all of that embossing, and it catches the light in so many different ways. What I have now is I have my card blank and another piece of white card. It's the same width as my card blank because I want it to go all the way across, but it's an inch smaller. This is because I want this peeking through on the diagonal piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of card and I'm going to mark 2 points. One on that side, one on this side. That will give me a diagonal line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this to my paper trimmer and I'm just going to trim from that point to that point now. So I've just taken it to my paper trimmer and I've cut through the line, so I can now open it up and it will be the same size as my card blank with a strip in the middle, and that's where my metal piece is going to be peeking through. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using this set from Winnie and Water, and this is true, and I thought it'd be fun to write I heart you. So I have the I heart you and I place these on my block, and I'm going to be stamping this just on the side here. You want to stamp before you put your layers down, so it's easier and your layer is flat. So I'm just going to ink up my sentiment, making sure I have it on the right way, and I'm just going to stamp this to this side here. Okay, that's so cute. So I have the strip in the right place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add my diagonal pieces that I've just cut, and I'm going to mark them on my card blank. So now I know that my metal strip needs to be covering this point here. To adhere the metal to our card blank, you're going to want to use some of this red super sticky tape, and I'm just going to place this in that void that I've just drew, and I'm just going to, oh sorry, so I'm just placing the super sticky tape in the void that I've just marked out. I'm just going to go over it so a couple of times with the super sticky tape so the metal will not move around. Okay. Make sure the pieces are, oh gosh, make sure the pieces are stuck down, and that one wasn't. Okay. And then I'm going to place this diagonally across my card. You don't want to press it down too much because you'll get rid of your embossing, but you can press down on the places that haven't been embossed. You could use your paper tool for this, but I seem to have lost mine in the split second that I've put it down. But using your finger works just as well. Just move round into the empty spaces and make sure it's fully adhered to your card. Okay. As I have things stuck over the other side, I'm going to flip my card over and I'm just going to snip the metal off. And you can cut it with scissors, it's very forgiving. And there's the metal piece on the card. To add the diagonal pieces back onto the card, I've just added some foam tape to the back as I wanted them to be higher than the metal piece that we did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with the bottom edge of my card and make sure it's straight before pressing it down. I do the same for the top piece here too. Turn my card around so it's a bit easier. Place one side on and there we go. Now that I've got it to this stage, I'm thinking it's missing something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some thin pieces of metal of the same colour across the bottom edge and cut it so the I Heart You is still showing. So I'm not going to go across that bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of metal the same colour and I'm going to flip it over. I have this piece of super sticky tape. This is larger than the ones that I used before. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this on the back. Okay. And then try and put this piece up to that one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my guillotine and I'm going to cut 2 thin strips, but making sure that I have the super sticky tape on the back of them. But I now have 2 strips of metal with super sticky tape on the back. You could cut the metal and then put the super sticky on afterwards, but I find it's easier to do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the backing off one of the strips, and I'm just going to place that with a white gap. Turn it over and cut off the edges. As I was saying before, I wanted the I Heart You to be showing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one part of the strip there, so you can still see the sentiment clearly, and then the other strip I'm going to go just by the U, and then take that across. So there's a gap. Okay. Flip it over again and cut off the edges. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I really hope you've enjoyed it and got some new techniques to add to your crafty arsenal. Thank you so much for watching again and have a beautiful day.